Well, who did you mean? Who's here?
The TV people.
Alright, welcome back guys, and today we're going to be talking about the TV static entities. So this video is a continuation of my recent video I made called the zigzag dimension. So if you want to understand this video a little bit better, go watch my zigzag dimension video. But I'm going to kind of recap what I basically talk about. So in the first video, in the beginning, I mentioned that when people take powerful psychedelics like DMT, when they smoke DMT and blast off, many of them describe being in this bizarre world where everything is like a black and white pattern. It's either checkerboard or striped or zigzagged. Here's one Reddit post I found that describes one of these experiences. Checkerboard. Does anyone else have black and white checkerboard come through visuals when you're blasting off? Almost every time I see this really tight pattern. I smoked a half gram yesterday consecutively tripping, and on the last one I was rolling my head around, eyes closed, and the visuals were as if I were occupying the space looking up at this black and white pattern cube. Whereas the past few times, it's been a background pattern. Always entities present showing me the patterns too. Even if I can't see them, they're there. Yesterday was a very masculine presence showing me through a batch I made myself. It was weird. I know it was a male spirit. I'm rambling. I love DMT. And then another guy replies, yeah, the checkerboard pattern is a common pattern to see on hallucinogens. Another guy says, my very first time blasting off, I was in a black and white checkerboard room. The second time I blasted off, I went into a red and white checkerboard room. So yeah, that's just a little recap, but anyway, we're going to talk about the TV static entities. So when I made my zigzag dimension video, I was actually going to move on from that topic and go towards another topic, but after I made that video, I started finding out a lot more information concerning the zigzag dimensions and bizarre entities. I found a lot of interesting comments from people on my video concerning their experiences with the zigzag dimension or the TV static entities. So here's one of the comments on my video. That's interesting. Back in 2011, when I was 18, me and my friends tried this drug called salvia that was sold in smoke shops. Some of the history is that the Aztecs would smoke this to speak to the gods. But anyways, I remember when I tried it, I had a really horrible trip for about 10 minutes, and I ended up seeing lots of black and white zigzag patterns. That was one of the last things I remembered seeing before I snapped out of it. There was like a black and white zigzag filter over everything, including me. I did not like it and never tried salvia ever again. Also from the zigzag dimension video I made, I posted a clip where I talk about a phenomena known as liquid crystal polarization on the television. It's basically when a person is on TV and then out of nowhere they get this like black and white striped filter on their faces or somewhere in the background. Now the explanation for it is that it's basically just like a glitch, but other people believe that there's a more paranormal explanation for this, such as actual entities being exposed through these TVs. This is what one guy commented, and his comment sent me down a rabbit hole, and he says, I've seen this. I never knew what it was till this day, but it looked like TV static walking around my living room. When I was about 16 years old, I was in my kitchen around 4 a.m. trying to snack on something. I saw this humanoid-shaped TV static walk into my TV. After I read that comment, I thought it was very interesting, and I started to try to find more information on so-called TV static people or entities. As I started to search this up to try to find any information on this phenomenon that many people have apparently experienced, but not a lot of people talk about, I found this website called Mysterious Universe, the bizarre phenomenon of static entities. The world of the paranormal sometimes takes a steep turn off the edge of the weird, offering up new phenomena that do not have any real category. One of these must surely be a collection of accounts linked to a phenomena I have only recently become aware of. It all revolves around tenuous flickering beings that seem to be made purely of white noise or static like TV static, and which seem to pop into this reality to scare and confuse. Here we will look at a selection of reports of a truly new and difficult to categorize area of reports called the static things or static humanoids. In this case, the witness, who was a kid at the time, remembers getting up one evening to get a glass of water, after which he went into his parents' room. He doesn't recall why he went into the room, but feels as if he might have been drawn there by something. And that is when he had an odd encounter, he says. When I walked into their room, I saw on the other side of their bed a huge humanoid shape that looked like it was made of TV static from a TV, except the white was purple, and kind of like when you rub your eyes through your eyelids. I immediately just laid down and went to sleep right there and woke up there in the morning. I don't think I ever told anyone about it until years later. I was 3 or 4. So it's possible my imagination just went nuts, but it always stuck with me. So yeah, that's one of the experiences. So I decided to search up TV static entities, and I found some more interesting information. These are some more Reddit posts of people's experience with these beings. One guy says, has anyone ever encountered beings made of TV static? So I'm preparing for a talk soon on these beings. I've started calling them the static people. They are essentially just beings made up of what looks like TV static. When I started this, I had only met a couple of people who had seen them, but as I have reached out onto other forums, I'm surprised at how many other people have seen them. Truthfully, this is one of the most staggering things I have encountered since I came into the paranormal world. With how many people have seen these things, but so little conversations about them. I'd love to know if anyone else has, or any thoughts people would have on what they are. And then this person gets some interesting replies. One guy says, roughly 20 years ago, I was sleeping in my parents' basement. I got up to go use the bathroom and almost walked into a static person. It was standing there right beside the door of the bathroom. Didn't have a single light on in the basement. It was in full shape of a person standing around 6 feet tall. It was literally just all TV static. My parents live in an area where there was a couple major battles during the War of 1812. The apparition is not the only one that has been seen in their house. Another guy says, I had an encounter with one. I'll call him Static Man. So basically, I'm young, about 10. I think I'm alone in that house. It's like midnight. I go to walk down the stairs, and he's in the room next to me. I sprint down the stairs, but my sweatshirt pocket gets caught. I have this feeling of doom. I get my sweatshirt free of the stair railing. Look back, he's gone. I'm down the stairs in 1 second, hiding in my couch cushion fort. Never told anyone except for when I asked a few of my friends, and they said they had encountered the Static Man too. One guy says saw them during a sleep paralysis episode. Thought I was the only one. Another person comments and says, I'm so thankful for this sub because I feel so validated in what I've experienced over the years. I've seen a static person and also 2 static orbs. The person being as a solid apparition and dissolved into static before disappearing completely, all while walking towards me and saying my name, which was super fun and not paralyzing, traumatic in any way. Just kidding, blessed the heck out of the house right afterwards, and ghosty went bye-bye. And this is the final comment I'm going to read, and this person actually brings up another interesting point. And they actually ask a question in the beginning, and they say, when encountering the static people, can you guys hear the static as well? My husband has a couple of weird encounters at night. He wears an eye mask to sleep in with Bluetooth speakers built in. He likes to listen to paranormal podcasts as he's falling asleep, and sets a timer on the podcast so it automatically turns off after X amount of time. He says he woke up one time with the feeling like somebody was nearby. As the somebody made its way over to the side of his bed, he could hear a white noise like static getting louder. The closer the intruder got, the intruder stood by the bed for about 5 minutes, then left, the static noise leaving with them. This happened one other time as well. The other time he said it felt like the intruder was about 2 inches from his face. He never actually saw what the intruder looked like, but he could remember the static noise. Is this the same creature? So again, all these accounts are very fascinating and interesting. Who is the Static Man? Kind of makes you wonder what televisions actually are, or what TV static is. So I think a little over a month ago, I made a video called The Origins of the Digital World, where I talked about the similarities of mythological stories of magic mirrors and what we call televisions today. I mean, think of the names we give the TV, or the names that are associated with the TV. We call it a television or tell-a-vision. And what do we do on these televisions? We broadcast information. Broadcast, cast spells through channels, right? Just like mediums have channels to channel spirits. So television, broadcast, channels, all very interesting words associated with the TV. So maybe TV static is actually showing you another world. Or maybe not. So in my Zigzag Dimension video, I mentioned a few movies and music videos that seem to show this zigzag or black and white pattern. In fact, a lot of music videos today and older music videos from the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, in the background of the music video, they randomly sometimes show black and white checkerboard patterns, which I found very interesting. But today we're going to talk about a few movies concerning the phenomenon of the zigzag dimension, or the striped pattern dimension, or the black and white pattern dimension, whatever you want to call it. The first movie I want to talk about is called Monkey Bone with Brendan Fraser. And this is I'm going to give you a brief summary of the movie. Life could not be better for cartoonist Stu Miley. He has created a hit comic strip featuring Monkey Bone, a petulant rascal with a penchant for wisecracks and racy antics. Stu, happy and in love with his beautiful girlfriend Julie, is on the verge of big success as his comic strip is about to become a national television show. On the night that Stu is to propose to Julie, he gets struck down in a freak accident. So basically this guy ends up in a coma, and this trickster spirit, the cartoon he made called Monkey Bones, takes over his body while he's stuck in this bizarre dimension. And the one thing I found interesting about this bizarre dimension that Brandon Fraser's character was stuck in, so as Brandon Fraser is stuck in this other world and he sees all these bizarre looking creatures, they all appear to be wearing costumes made with black and white striped patterns and zigzags. And Brandon Fraser is also wearing a black and white patterned outfit, and in the background we see black and white patterns and zigzags and stripes. So I thought that was very interesting because many movies associated with the afterlife or other dimensions, sometimes this black and white type pattern is put in the background for some odd reason. So that's just one movie. Another movie I want to talk about that a friend reminded me of is called Escape Room. And this is a brief summary. 6 strangers, each the sole survivor of various horrific disasters, are invited to test their wits against an immersive escape room in downtown Chicago. So the reason I wanted to mention this movie is because, again, it has to do with this zigzag dimension, this TV static dimension. There's one scene where characters end up in this bizarre room where they start to hallucinate, and all around the room is like TV static and zigzag striped patterns all across this TV static like pattern. So I thought that was very interesting, very random, and very bizarre.
This was just open. What are we letting in?
Another thing I want to talk about is a sitcom called The Good Place. And here's a brief summary of this movie. When Eleanor Shellstrop finds herself in the afterlife, she's both relieved and surprised that she made it into the good place. But it doesn't take long for Eleanor to realize she's there by mistake. So basically this person ends up in, I guess, what you call heaven. And one of my subscribers pointed out something very interesting about this sitcom. While they're in this afterlife, they're all wearing something very interesting. These zigzagged striped pajamas, and it looks like it's like light blue and yellow, or maybe black and yellow. Yes, they're wearing these random black and white zigzag striped patterns. And I thought this was very interesting because, again, it has to do with this phenomenon. But yeah, I also mentioned other movies in my Zigzag Dimension video concerning the same topic, such as Beetlejuice, the trickster spirit that wreaks havoc in this one couple's life. It's a classic 80s movie made by Steven Spielberg. And Beetlejuice is this trickster spirit that's also wearing a black and white patterned suit or outfit. But yeah, I also found it interesting that Steven Spielberg seems to be kind of obsessed with this pattern. Like, you got Beetlejuice wearing the striped outfit, and then you have Jack Skellington from Nightmare Before Christmas wearing a striped black and white pattern. Is this all random, or is this purposely done? Because my view with movies and TV and shows, I don't think that they're just, there for entertainment. I think there's a bigger purpose for these movies and shows. Because the one fact that you guys need to know about watching TV is when you watch TV, believe it or not, your mental state, your brain, is in the same state as meditation. So your brain has different brain waves that it activates during different activities. So when you're more productive and doing productive things like problem solving or mathematics, your brain is in a state of beta or alpha when your brain is more active. But when you're in a relaxed meditative state, such as sleeping or meditating or watching TV, you're in a state of theta. It's a low frequency brain state, basically, where your guard is down and you're in this relaxed state. So when you're watching TV, it's just like meditation. In fact, it's exactly the same. Your brainwaves show the same patterns as if you were to meditate. So watching TV and meditation is the same thing. Your brain is in this relaxed mental state. And I find that interesting because often when people go through spiritual attacks, it often happens in their dreams when they're asleep. But yeah, all that is very interesting, very bizarre. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Have you guys experienced this bizarre phenomenon of TV static people or the static entities? Let me know in the comments. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you do want to support this channel, I do have a Patreon where I will be making and releasing exclusive videos on there that I can't post on here. Like, comment, subscribe, and we are done.